So your next video, Rich God Poor God, tell us about that one.
Rich God Poor God. Oh man, yeah, I like that video in the sense that, I mean, I come from a very, I've been around lots of religions and I've been into lots of religious institutions, and what I felt is that people lose sight of the message and start to glorify the messenger. You know what I mean? And then people that are in positions of the messenger, say for instance people that are at the head of like maybe the mosque or the synagogue or the church, I saw a lot of people that were taking advantage. You're not saying that everyone does it, but a lot of people are taking advantage of that position, and I don't think that's right. Just because you've been put in that position, you can't exploit it. And the thing is, once someone is doing something for you because they believe in God, that's the most earnest kind of transactional, most earnest kind of place someone can do something for. So you have to put yourself in an even harder position and maintain that honesty, and I feel like a lot of people wasn't, and essentially you're exploiting someone, you know what I mean? And I think people are exploiting people who have genuine intentions and profiting off them, and I think I've seen that consistently in a lot of like institutions, not restricted to one religion, lots of them, and I just felt like that was something for me to say. And I use the title Rich God Poor God because there's a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it talks about making money and how money works, and I just parodied it with how a lot of the people at the top are making money and learning how money works by using people's belief system as that way to generate extra income. I'm not saying they should be poor, but you know, excessive expenditure, I mean, I don't see anywhere where any of the prophets or messengers of God indulge in that, you know what I mean?
I guess, as you said, you've seen that in a lot of institutions, but and it's not the general consensus of all the people.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's restricted. It's definitely restricted to a certain few. You know what I mean? I didn't want everybody to feel like I was bashing every single. No, most definitely not.
Okay, so you must have had some negative opposition during your years of your videos. How do you overcome that?
In terms of critique, I think there's two criteria of it. You know what I mean? I think there's ignorance, and I think there's genuine opinions, and sometimes I think the biggest difficulty is filtering between the two, because some people just say stuff out of ignorance or just being defensive, and then there's stuff which is someone's opinion. Now, when it comes to someone's opinion, regardless of whether it's negative or not, I feel there's weight to it, and there's something you can always learn from it. So rather than just disregard it, I always try and look into that. Whereas when it comes to ignorance, like, I don't indulge in ignorance. I think like it's futile to try and change someone's opinion or try to see how they formulate something if they're just speaking out of ignorance. There's a lot of emotion as opposed to logic. So I definitely look at it through two strands, but the way I've always overcome ignorance is just by ignoring it. You know what I mean? If you indulge in it, it just fuels it and it gets bigger, more people join in, and at the end, sometimes it even gives it some credibility, you know what I mean? Because so many people have supported it. But when it comes to like negative criticism, or obviously not everyone's gonna like your stuff, and I always try and look into it and see if I can learn from it, and if I can't, at the same time it's valid, but at the same time it's not gonna benefit me because I can't learn from it. So I always just try and differentiate between the two whenever I do see something negative.
Okay. In terms of criticism, do you take the good and the bad on and try and improve from that? Listen to your fans and go from there? Or do you try not to listen to people's opinions and just keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, it's ignorant not to listen to anyone else, but sometimes it's detrimental when you do listen to too many people, because when you're trying to please too many people, you end up diluting what you're trying to do. You know what I mean? If I'm trying to please this audience and that audience, the core of the message is being dispersed over so many different platforms that it's not as strong as anymore. So with that as well, I think you do have to find a balance. I think you have to find a balance to the extent where you're still doing you, but you take people's opinions into consideration. Don't necessarily let them be the crux and formulate what you're going to say going forward, but always do take that aspect into consideration and think about that.
Okay. Alright, so back onto the positive now. Now I've asked you, what is your inspiration? And I'm going to ask you, is there anyone who inspires you? Who
inspires me? I mean, anybody that is successful in their respective field or industry is an inspiration for me. I can't narrow down one person, because I look at it through so many different angles. You know, when you look at some people like Muhammad Ali, you know what I mean, he was a very inspirational boxer in the context of his personality. Then when you look at football, I really like David Beckham. A lot of people may not think he says too much, but I think he's a style icon. I think he's transcended his sport. I think he's done so much around it that I admire him. I like Michael Jordan, I like Tiger Woods. Then when you look into public speaking, there's a guy called Eric Thomas. You know, his speech itself is very inspirational, and I like listening to him. So it's hard for me to target and pinpoint one person. from all the people that I do filter and find inspiration from. And then there's also very personal people close to me that I find inspiration from. My aunt is a big inspiration of mine because I think she has a very strong mentality, and I've seen her persevere and endure through a lot of situations while at the same time raising her kids and raising us, so I can definitely admire that, and that has definitely been a cornerstone of my inspiration.
What words of wisdom or encouragement can you give the next generation that are coming up that look to you and say, oh, I want to do what he does?
Most definitely, in terms of the next generation, first of all, I'd want people to do what I do because they want to do it, not because I do it. One thing I'd give you is don't aspire to be like anyone else, you know what I mean? Find your own lane and try and work it, you know what I mean? Even if it conflicts someone else's, like just try and be yourself originally, innit? And the second time is work hard and at the same time be informed, innit? Like I learned this from a very inspirational guy, and it's that understand what you're talking about, innit? Like if you want to be a football player, study around it, you know what I mean? If you want to do spoken word or artist, study the industry as a whole. Don't just see your narrow view of it and try to learn everything from there. Study it and appreciate the value of the whole culture and everything, and then try and use that, and hopefully that will help you go further.
Okay, 5 years time, where do you see yourself?
You know,
I know you must get that question.
Yeah, all the time, innit? I have a very kind of like entrepreneurial spirit behind me, and I've met with quite a lot of successful entrepreneurs of recent because of what I've been doing, and I definitely want to turn what I do as I'm an artist, and that won't go. I'm a writer as well, but at the same time I want to turn that into more of a brand and partner that with a couple of businesses that I have going on. I might have in mind for the future, God willing. At the same time, partner my brand of Suli Breaks UOSB with other businesses and kind of expand in that arena. But at the same time, the art will always be consistent. That will always be the forefront of what I do.
Okay, and what can we expect? What can your viewers, your fans expect from you in the near coming future?
I mean, I just finished my recent EP, Dorm Room EP, so quite a few people got that. You can get it on iTunes or you can download it for free on my site. And I haven't actually announced it, but I'm actually working on another EP which should be out next month, or any time between now and next month, simply because I could have left the gaps. I just released the other one last month, but I just feel like there's no point in sleeping. And at the same time, I'm writing as well. I'm writing a book, you know, because I also do write, and I can actually write. And I'm still trying to sort out a few negotiations in terms of how I'm going to put that out. But definitely those are the two projects they can expect, and the rest is all kind of business orientated, so I don't want to say too much at the moment.
So we look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, God willing, man.
Okay, in terms of Twitter, are you on Twitter or Facebook, or how can your fans contact you?
All the social networks, just Suli Breaks. My YouTube used to be Suli Breezy, but I've changed that now. That's Suli Breaks across all social platforms. That's SULIBREAKS. And just follow me on any of them, and either one is cool. I'm on either one as a freaking as the other in it, but YouTube where you can actually watch content is probably the best.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Suli Breaks. I'm Daniel Terrell, that was Suli Breaks, and we are inspirational martial arts and dance. Thank you for watching.
A bunch of YouTube comments got them heated again. They really take offense when I speak with my pen. Is it my fault or their own insecurity? Every time you click, you're only endorsing me. But I guess there's no fun in ignoring me, especially when their kids show them my videos so adoringly. So they write despite and dislike to justify positions that they ended up in life. And you can blame me, but the problem ain't me. Just look into a mirror as if you was 18 before the working world killed all of your ambition, and you found it easier to fall into tradition. Can you see that there's a problem with the system? Not hating your opinion, just the ignorance that's in them.